Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands in the air, clap out loud for Abbas. Come on, guys, let's get the energy back in the house. Abbas, what's up?
Hi, so just a quick intro about who I am and what do I do, why am I here, though Webber did a great job at introducing me. I used to be a marketer before this, before joining Web3. Being a marketer, running ad campaigns, doing content strategy, community management was all part of my job for around 5 to 6 years in the Web2 space. Worked with a bunch of companies, influencers, all sorts of domains. And in the last couple years is when I moved to Web3, trying to understand more about the space, trying to understand. I'd say except for builders, most people come with the mindset of here's an investment class, you understand Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then move on to something else. My journey started the same way. It was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then NFTs, because I finally got the fact that here's an eureka moment for me. NFTs allow you to bridge the gap between culture, between creativity, and put it on public ledger, which is permissionless, accessible by anybody across the globe in a trustless fashion. And that was a life-changing moment for me. I knew for a fact that no matter what happens, the next 10 years, 20 years, this thing is going to stick, it's going to work around, and people are going to be using it regularly without knowing it's an NFT, without knowing it's on the blockchain, etc. So that was my journey. In the last couple of years, I've been working with a bunch of NFT projects, helping them on their community strategy. I was obviously a collector, so that leverage was very powerful. Being a collector with a community helps you get into the founders' doors really quickly, talk to them about strategy, talk to them about community building, incentives, tokenomics, all of that stuff. And in the last couple of years, I was also working with Web2 companies, name some of the biggest brands in India, consumer goods, fashion and lifestyle, grooming, all of those companies, helping them move from Web2 to Web3. Companies you wouldn't imagine thinking about Web3 are actually doing it on the back end. They're just very coy about it, very quiet about it. They are building stuff from metaverse divisions to figuring out what is the best way to build the ecosystem that is incentivized via crypto, NFTs, and stuff like that. There are obvious hurdles around regulations, which is why they are slow. It takes time, but things are being built regularly. And in the last year, I joined Superteam, which is what my title also says. I'm a bounty sheriff manager, bounty sheriff or a bounty program manager at Superteam. I manage the bounty program. We'll discuss about what the bounty program is and details like that. But all of this leads into why I want to talk about building communities in Web3 and why it's important, why most people miss out on the fact that it's not the same as building Web2 communities, which I've done in the past. It has a lot of layers to it. Founders are not able to crack what is the best way to build Web3 communities. They don't get it, especially because if you've ever been in a Web3 community, in a Discord server, you'll notice even as a user or a member, you are likely to join the server and put the server on mute immediately. That's my action at least, right? So you do not go back to that server ever again unless you for a fact really want to be there. For me at least, it's NFT projects where I actually want to show up and be like, okay, what's the next alpha, what's happening? But most protocols I join, I'll just drop them right below and never take a look at them. Maybe we could do a quick round of that as well, right? Like who all over here has found a server, joined it, and then never looked at it again for a while at least, or muted immediately? Quite, I'd say almost everybody. The immediate action is to mute stuff, so that's what happens. And founders are not able to reactivate these members once they mute your server. Once they mute your server, you can't ping them. There's no way to get into their DMs. The DMs are closed because NFT security. I close my DMs all the time. You can only reach to me on Twitter, etc. So it's very hard to reactivate these members. So what do you do? So understanding how to build a Web3 community is extremely important. Now, why is it important? More layers to it. People forget about the fact that nobody cares about your product. In general, when you are building a product, the first thing people look at is alpha. If there's alpha to make money over there, they're going to show up in a server and figure out how to work around it. But if it's a product, it's a genuine product, which is the case in the bear market. Most companies or protocols don't launch tokens. They're actually focused on building stuff. So how do you engage people without there being money or monetary incentives over there, right? The only way to do it is to figure out a way for your community to be valuable beyond just your product. People might use your product once, twice, thrice, if they really love it forever. But in most cases, they never come back to your product again. So think about community utility first, and here are a few things you'd want to know before building community, right? Why is it important? Core of Web3, it's for your product, it's for your vision, whatever you have as a founder, as a builder, and basically create a home base for anybody who's a member in this community. And by the way, this is not just for founders and builders, it's also for people who are looking for home bases. I'll talk about why a home base is important in Web3. Most folks, when they participate in the Web2 ecosystem or even any other ecosystem, they want to feel like they belong somewhere. They're going to build from there or for that place. So it could be your culture, it could be your place that you come from, it could be the school that you come from. They want to belong somewhere. And once you established an atmosphere of that sort, an environment of that sort that cultivates the fact that, hey, here's a home base for you to build from and for, you create valuable, quality, high contributing members that can do stuff for you, and then you can do stuff for them as well. So it's an atmosphere you have to create. Building a home base, what does it mean? A bunch of things, but we could touch on a few for today. It has good infrastructure as one. That is, how is your Discord set up? How is the Telegram set up? How do people interact with each other? How do you record and access information in the Discord server, in these Telegram chats? All of that is extremely important. Besides that, you also have incentive structures, hierarchies. In any server, you'll always find like a bunch of roles and memberships allocated to people based on their contributions, based on their investment, all of that stuff. You have to figure out what is that structure for your community and establish it upfront on call it on a Notion doc, it does not matter. Put it anywhere, put it on the first channel that comes up on a server. But as long as it's transparent, clear, and obvious on what the path for your Discord members is and what they're supposed to do in the server, it solves a bunch of problems. You no longer have dead users who show up and have zero clue on what to do. Any server you join today, the chances of you finding clear information on what your plan or what your progression path looks like for you as a member is absent, right? So you're lost on what to do and you immediately leave. There's nothing happening over there. Also figure out what is your core activity and success metric. If you are a community, you are just a community without a product, you are, let's say, a product that's building a community because of your vision, irrespective of what it is. There has to be one core activity or at least two core activities that you can drive value behind and be like, okay, here's where I want to put my money, here's what I want to put my focus on, everything is built around this, I want to incentivize people to do this activity. It could be as simple as, hey, I need folks to come along and write a piece of content about Web3, that's my core activity. If everybody in the community is producing one piece of content, one tweet about Web3, I've solved for my core success metric. And lastly is community utility, which is not spoken about at all in the space. If any, I'd be happy to talk to people and understand what they are thinking about it. But basically, if you go to NFT projects, DeFi protocols, all of these, the one thing they ask you is what is the core utility of the product, right? How do I use this product more? What do I make out of it, etc. But nobody talks about community as utility. And what I mean by that is, what does the community receive in return for being part of your community? What do they get by being there? Do they get access to information, networks, capital, distribution? What is it? And I'll speak more about utility in that fashion, but that is extremely important to identify how do you build utility for your members, whoever that is. All right, good infrastructure, same thing that I spoke about, community tools, communication tools, managing members, facilitating interactions between members, all of that solves for creating a hospitable environment, creating networks, creating discussions, doing a bunch of things that help people come together, potentially drive your vision as well as theirs, and that solves a bunch of problems for you. So extremely important is good infrastructure, and it comes with setting up all of those things, including the server, let's say using an Airtable form to record member information from their name, Discord ID, Twitter ID, or whatever you need from them, right? All right, incentive structures. This is where you figure out who your inner circle is and how do you incentivize them, how do you create value for them. Your inner circle is basically, all right, let's do an example of a server which has 3 or 4 roles. First role is somebody who joins the server, has no particular use case or role to play in the server. They're just there observing, learning, understanding more about your product, your community, and the whole vision. The next role is somebody who's slightly more interested, has completed X task or has earned it by paying for it. So there are DAOs that let you pay for stuff and then get a membership role. There are NFT projects that let you get a membership role based on getting an NFT, etc. Call you X holder, whatever. And then there's a third role which people may introduce saying that, hey, you are very close to the core team, as in you contribute a lot more value to this project as compared to anybody else. So you're going to get a third role, right? So you create that inner circle of people who are actually delivering value to you, and that creates a dynamic of sorts where you're not focused on the 80% of the folks who are not creating as much value, but focusing on the 20% who create maximum value, right? So that helps. And then building monetary and non-monetary incentives on top of it. It allows you to figure out what is it that you can offer. Can you offer roles? Can you offer information? Can you offer potential access to capital? All of that stuff is something you have to figure out that you can do. Potentially merge, which I feel is the most, it doesn't work. Like merge is done, right? Just, there's more we can do for community members beyond merge, and we should probably look at that. And lastly, information and education as special access, which helps solve a bunch of things for people. All right, same thing in a circle I spoke about. You could have 2, 3, 4 roles, doesn't matter, as long as you build that plan for people to understand where they're headed from where they start. So let's say start with a normal spectator role. Where are they going next? The last core contributor role, that's their goal. If you are able to create that passion inside of them, that they want to move from that initial role to the last role, that's your winning metric of sorts. Again, core activity spoken about. Examples, what do you do for core activity? Core success metric, you figure out, let's say every member needs to host an event. Let's say there are 1,000 members, and out of which only 20 are active participants. You figure out a way for them to be able to host an event every single day or every week at least. Maybe that's your core activity. Maybe you are a community built around doing quality events around education and stuff like that. So that's your success metric. If you want to create a piece of content, maybe that, build a project, find earning opportunities, create earning opportunities, could be anything, right? And this could be in sync with your product as well. So if your product is a DeFi protocol, let's say you want everybody to write about DeFi protocols in the space, write alpha, stuff like that. So figure out what your niche is, what you want to curate stuff around, and then let your community do that for you. You can initially set up stuff where you and the team that is building the product can do these things just to like get the ball going, like, and then everybody can follow along with you and possibly do it themselves. Okay, community utility. The one that I spoke about last was how do you create utility for your members beyond just the product? And there are a bunch of things I go by. So this is something I work with all of my clients, all of my projects that I work with on community building, structures and incentives. I give them 4 broad categories, and you're free to add like a bunch more. I'm sure there are like 10 other categories I've not thought of, right? So if there are more categories, please feel free to add it over there. But for now, let's do these 4. You have 1, access to networks. Now what are networks? Networks are basically if you're able to tap into, let's say, a founders network, a talent network, all of those things. Access to information, then it's obvious. Access to capital, if you can create that for your holders, and access to distribution. I'll touch upon a few that are important. The networks bit. How do you define what a network is and what is an important network for that matter? Talent network is extremely important in this space. So if you're able to create a talent network for somebody to participate and find earning opportunities, you've solved a major problem in this space and potentially become the backbone of what is the next infrastructure for, you know, talent and talent pools coming together, all of that stuff. Creators network is potentially another idea. If you are based around as a platform creating social media content, maybe you're a decentralized social media platform, maybe you could do creators network as well. So help people come together as creators and give them access to that. Founders network is if you have a bunch of builders in your community and you want them to interact with founders who are building stuff, and these guys are developers, create that network. And your niche network, whatever you do. If you have something else that you're doing that you think has potential for a network effect, build that and add that. All right, we spoke about early on about building good infrastructure, and here's where an example for a good infrastructure comes in. So most communities also have some form of record management. So you have, let's say, a member who is X role, has X contribution, you have some form of record being maintained, right? Take it a step beyond. Take it a step beyond and let's say create as simple as something, an Airtable form that records every contribution your members do. What is their name? Doesn't need to be their doxed ID, could be their Discord ID, does not matter, as long as you can verify who it is and it has one common ID attached to it. Record their proof of work, all of that stuff that you feel is valuable. Create that system that lets you define who has done what work in your community. And once you establish that, what you can do is you can point towards it and go like, hey, here are X number of members. there are done X number of contributions for our particular community, our DAO, our project, and now we can reward them based on their activity. It incentivizes people without having to give away money every single time, which is not a great incentive. It loses its charm after like a first few reward points. People then stop doing stuff. So you need long-term contributions, people who care about, let's say, long-term workings or building projects with your community. And if you can create a system that incentivizes that, it's great. This may not work in the beginning because you still need a core active inner circle that's doing stuff, and then start incentivizing them. Then you can backtrack and give them points for their past work as well. But if you initially establish like random points, it's just like launching tokens that have zero value just because you want to give it to somebody. It has nothing to do with, it has no gains today, right? So build that inner circle, build that network, build that utility for your community, and then add something like a system that records utility and then provide benefits in the future. Same thing I spoke about. An example of what we did with Superteam is here. So if you are on your phones right now, you can type reputation.superteam.fun, and you'll be able to access an entire leaderboard of who has contributed what in the DAO, and not just the DAO. If there's any link of them having participated, worked on a bounty, on all that stuff that happens in the server, in the DAO, they'll be recorded over there as developers, writers, video editors, designers. Every skill is marked. So you'll see even strategy for that matter, even DevOps. You'll figure out who is the leading contributor, top 10 contributors in that particular server in the DAO, and you can then assess and potentially even hire them if you want to. You have the Discord ID over there, and if you can go and check who is the best developer in the DAO, find the top 10, have a chat with them, and then you'll find their proof of work, all of that stuff. So that's Reputation. We built this around last year, somewhere around October, November. We've been improving it ever since. It goes on a range of things. We work on what does a member contribute to the DAO, what does a member do outside of the DAO that creates value for the community, all of those things. All right. The second half of my talk today is about earning opportunities closely linked with communities and building stuff for people, for members, and creating value. And I'm going to take most of my examples in Superteam because that's where I have my first-hand experience building earning opportunities for people. Types of opportunities, everybody knows in the Web3 space you have a few opportunities that you can explore, full-time jobs, part-time jobs, all of that. But you also have consulting and advisory jobs you can take up. And that obviously comes after you spend some time building stuff on your own, and that's the best time to do it. If you do have the bandwidth, feel free to reach out to people, offer your services. It doesn't have to be paid, could be free in the beginning. Just provide as much value as you can. And lastly is a new format of work which we've been exposed to for a while in Web2, but it never really caught on because there's a bunch of hurdles that come in between. But Web3 takes it all out, right? There's no need for you to dox yourself. All you need is a wallet and a bounty option. Just apply for it, do it, and you'll get an opportunity. I'll speak about bounties more. At Superteam, if you go at superteam.fun/bounties, you'll find a bunch of bounties for various types of skills. So these are content creators, video editors, designers, developers, all sorts of people who can apply for bounty. Every bounty ranges from 1.5k USD to 3k USD depending on what the bounty is about. And you can apply for the bounty if you get selected, if you win the bounty, and you get the reward directly into your wallet. And we've been doing this for a while. We've given out around 73k USD in bounty payments from October last year to now. And yeah, we keep on doing these bounty programs almost every time. Every week you'll find a new bounty. Every couple of weeks you'll find a new bounty, from writers to developers. So if you all feel like you all can participate in the bounty and join us, then please feel free to reach out and apply for a bounty. By the way, bounties is also the only way Superteam accepts members today. We do not allow any other way. Maybe there's Instagrams, but primarily anybody who wants to join Superteam as a member can only do so by winning a bounty. So it's completely based on contributions. If you win a bounty, fair and square, you get into the DAO as a member. We have missions as well. Missions is a different format of work we've built, and it's primarily based on what we've always done. It's defined, has a scope of work, has a dedicated timeline attached to it, has funds attached to it, has milestones. It's a freelance gig of sorts, but you can bring together a team. You can look at the mission that you like on superteam.fun/missions, and if you feel like you can apply for something, build something, let's say it's a protocol sponsoring you to build a project on top of them, then you can go ahead and apply for it. If you win the grant, and you get to be able to do so, and you get paid in tranches based on your milestones. So that's another format of work. you can potentially explore. We've been doing a lot of missions for a while now. So you see, create a hype video, create a landing page, marketing and research. We have advisory boards. We have a bunch of things that we've been doing. And every member gets to apply. And not just members, by the way. All of our opportunities are open for anybody to apply unless told otherwise. So you'll see a few of these are contributors and members only. Besides those, everything is open for the public to apply to and win. All right, we also have Instagrams, which is basically you being able to envision what you want to build. And if you have an idea that you think you can build on Solana specifically, you can reach out, apply for an Instagram with Superteam, and receive a grant for the same. Go ahead and build it. And there's no equity grant, so you can just go ahead and build whatever you want to as long as it's approved. And yeah. Then we have community advisory boards, something we launched very recently. We have 2 communities we're working with, 2 projects we're working with, CapEx and Gari. What we do with them is we work with them on advisory where we explain and we talk about different parts of what a community looks like, from community management to NFT tokenomics, all of that advisory that we can potentially help projects with. And there's a team that is allocated to all of these projects that is from within the server. And it comes from, like I said previously, missions. There'll be a mission that says, hey, Gari needs X number of experts with X amount of experience. Can you apply for this mission? And everybody gets to apply, and Gari gets to choose who they want to onboard based on their proof of work from Superteam as well as from external sources. All right. Our North Star, I spoke about a North Star a lot, about how you need to figure out what your North Star is for your community. Could be anything, right? Your North Star could be creating events, writing content, but our North Star is increasing earning opportunities for our members. So the goal is that every member or anybody who's in the DAO is focused towards finding earning opportunities and creating earning opportunities, not just for folks in the server, so not just for folks who are members, but anybody who joins the server or finds themselves across on Superteam, social media, etc. So the goal is to create as much earning opportunities as we can. We've given out approximately around 670K USD in the last 8 months across programs, from Instagrams to bounties to missions to full-time jobs, all sorts of things. So that's our goal, to forever keep increasing that. And you can always keep a track of this. All of this is public. If you ever want to check out what's happening, go to earnings.superteam.fun. And you will find all the information about what our earning opportunities have looked like, how much have we made in the last year. And by the way, Superteam takes none of it. All of the money that's made by members goes to members completely. So there's nothing left with Superteam, from bounties to earning opportunities, everything. After that, you can also check out talent.superteam.fun. Here is where you can find more opportunities for yourself on, let's say, how do you do a good interview, how do you build a proof of work system for yourself, how do you build in public, all of that stuff that's important in Web3. You'll find all the information there. Plus, you'll find the link to be able to apply for the talent network. I spoke about networks in the beginning, and we also have a talent network besides our capital distribution and other things we do. So apply for a talent network, and if you're looking for a job, etc., and you can use that as well. And yeah, that's about it. If anybody has questions, always feel free to DM me, or I'm around, just chat with me. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, Abbas, thank you. Come on, everybody. Give it up for Abbas. Everyone, come on. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us all that info.
Yeah.
Like, I only heard the keyword as bounty, and I'm like, I need to have a one-on-one with you and let's explore stuff.
We'll do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
but thank you so much.